So everybody that has been in the DTC space for more than a minute genuinely understands and knows how ever-changing that landscape really is. And therefore, I wanted to make this video today to shine some light on the things or the myths that have been really circulating in the DTC space over the last couple of months or maybe even years. But first and foremost, talk about the 5 truths that you can rely upon in this year. So without any further ado, let's talk about those 5 truths and hop right into it. Hey everybody, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video here on my channel. My name is Victor and this channel is all about e-commerce growth and how to grow your e-commerce brand to the next level profitably and sustainably. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about the 5 D2C truths that you can rely upon for this year and going forward, right? There are a lot of things happening in the space and therefore there are a lot of people always trying to gain awareness and get some kind of attention by just shouting something out. And then obviously all of us as entrepreneurs are kind of prone to have that kind of shiny object syndrome and really think about all of those nitty-gritty things and try and hope that, or maybe want to, that this particular thing really kind of solves all of our business problems. But unfortunately, this is not the reality that we live in, and therefore I wanted to talk about those 5 truths. And therefore, let's hop straight in with the first one. And the first one is attribution is a myth. It has been less and less reliable and less accurate over the course of the last year or two since iOS 14.5 has been established. However, ultimately it was a not necessarily flawed construct, but a subjective framework to begin with. The reason for that is because, what is attribution in the first place? This is something that a lot of people do not really understand, even although they have been, in the digital marketing space or D2C space for so long. And that is, attribution is nothing more or less than accrediting a sale that has happened on your website to a particular, traffic source or to a particular platform in the most cases. So meaning, if a sale has been happening or has happened on your website, and Google attributes that sale to their Google ads, they are trying to take credit for this sale, right? They're trying to take credit for the sale. Same goes for Facebook ads. Same goes for email marketing. Same goes for something like Google Organic and their SEO, their search engine. All of those different platforms obviously try to get the most amount of sales accredited to their particular traffic source. The reason being is because that obviously makes them look better. It makes them and their platform look better, which will then, inevitably lead to you as a business, kind of allocating more resources either in time or effort or money, into that particular platform. And Facebook ads, or Facebook, Google, and TikTok ads, it means, ad spend. Email marketing, it lets them also look better, in your Klaviyo dashboard to send more emails and ultimately then generate more business for them, right? So ultimately, it is either way a subjective construct or has been a subjective framework to begin with. But now then, since iOS 14 and all those, tracking issues and data transparency or data privacy issues have been arising, there was a completely new layer also to it that even decreased the accuracy and the reliability of those metrics like a Facebook or Google ROAS, right? And all of those problems will only be increasing going forward in a cookieless future. Therefore, attribution is a myth, and you need to understand that attribution is a myth, and it's not saying that you should completely disregard your Facebook ROAS. It's still, really fairly important to, compare and, track its relative performance compared to the last month or the last time period. But taking it as a, okay, this is our be all, we are targeting this particular Facebook ROAS just because we want to get there, is not necessarily something that is a super good move from a business performance standpoint. So therefore, attribution is a myth, and you need to understand attribution in order to become a better, e-commerce brand going into the future and in 2023. So that was point number 1, truth number 1, attribution is a myth. Point number 2 is creative matters more than any other growth hack out there. That is a truth that so many business owners do not really understand, or maybe do not really want to understand. Some don't really understand it, actively, and some don't really understand it passively. Meaning I've talked to brand owners and to brands that actively understand, that actively just don't understand that creative is what really matters when it comes, for example, to Facebook ads, right? But some people, or some brand owners, some marketers, some marketing managers really genuinely understand it. But they still, when you think about, or when you talk them through their testing efforts, they're still just trying to figure out that secret combination in their head. And they're still trying to really just, pursue that and chase this ultimate nirvana where they then have found their secret combination and then nothing else matters anymore. They can, happily scale their business, right? But unfortunately, this is never going to happen. And what really moves the needle when it comes to any type of messaging or marketing, it doesn't matter whether it's Facebook ads, it doesn't matter whether it's email marketing, it doesn't matter whether it's TikTok ads, and that is genuinely understanding a customer, their objections and the desired outcomes, and why they're purchasing with you instead of a cheaper or any type of other competitor out there, right? As soon as you have understood that, you can really craft good marketing copy and understand and create good creatives that convert. And this is what really moves the needle, instead of trying to go for that growth hack of let's change that button, or let's, do this here or whatsoever. Those are the fundamentals and you should understand them. Truth number 3 is get over yourself and sell on Amazon. Okay, so this is actually something that, that I can completely understand, kind of that mindset of we are a DTC brand. We want to control all, our customer journey, and want to control how we are being perceived by our customers. And we don't really want to hand this off or give away control by, providing or offering our product on Amazon, or also, any other type of retailer or other marketplace, right? Something that, especially, coming out of an, time where DTC has been the buzzword, and where everybody wanted to kind of hop on that bandwagon of let's do everything DTC, direct to consumers, like the new, kind of the new nirvana, right? Again, especially coming from this time, it's really difficult, or it's really hard, to let go of this and understand, what, I need to be able to have a multi-channel approach to my sales funnel, right? Or to my sales channel, because, fact is that 50% of all transactions, e-commerce transactions in the US, are being processed by Amazon. So by default, you're missing out on 50% of all the transactions that you could have made, when you're not selling on Amazon, because just of your ego is saying, I want to be, D2C. I want to control all the narrative that is, that is surrounded by my brand, which is inevitably something that is going to hold back the growth and the sustainability growth of your business. Same goes, for example, something like a retail approach, right? Going ahead, and in times like that, where it's an uncertain macroeconomic time, we don't really know where Facebook ads or where, D2C in general is necessarily going to go. It's really important to put your ego in place and say, I need to be as convenient as possible for my customer. And probably the convenience factor, if you're, for example, a supplement brand, or you're selling protein bars, and you think that really every one of your customers, even if they enjoyed your product and really gotten the value out of it, that they're going to come back to your particular website, type it in, and then check out on your website, well, this is just essentially a little bit delusional, because obviously a lot of people just want to have the convenience of going into their local supermarket when they do their weekly groceries and then just buy your particular protein bar, and they know that that this will actually kind of give them the value that they want and get their desired outcome. So make sure that you get over yourself and sell on Amazon and other different marketplaces or in retail. Point number 4 is testing random ideas leads nowhere. You need a framework in place. So by now, hopefully everybody that is watching this video has understood that testing ideas is the bread and butter in order to grow any type of business or e-commerce brand right now. So you need to test in order to be able to accelerate your growth, improve your Facebook ads, improve your messaging, improve your customer journey, and just generally increase the profitability that comes out of your business. However, apart from that, I've seen that, or as this has been kind of established in all of our minds, right? I've seen a lot of businesses just trying to throw everything at the wall and anything at the wall and seeing what sticks, and then just kind of continue to throw things at the wall. Obviously, if you start out somewhere, you got to start out somewhere. I mean, right? Like if you have never tested something in your Facebook ad account, or you've never tested, something on your website, in terms of your CRO experiments, you got to start out somewhere, and then you do need to just kind of rely upon your intuition and, your subjective bias. But as soon as you've started launching some of your macro tests and you've gotten your first feedback and your first results back, you should build up on that. You need a framework in order to identify your previous winners, take out those learnings, and then build up on those learnings in order to not start from zero again, right? So that is one thing that I've seen a lot of brands not really doing properly. They're testing a lot in their ad account. They're testing a lot throughout their whole business, but they're not necessarily really keeping track of those tests, or wanting to understand why have they performed well, why have they performed not so well, and what can we do in order to make this test losing rate, essentially what can we do to decrease it, right? And how can we increase our test winning rate? So there's, for example, one thing that definitely, in my opinion, a lot of brands are missing out on, and actually a lot of big brands are also missing out on. Point number 5, and in my opinion, something that is generally a mindset shift that will happen, or that needs to happen throughout this year, and that is, everyone obsesses over CAC, customer acquisition cost, but great brands focus on LTV, meaning lifetime value, right? Especially coming out of a time period, again, for DTC where it has been, okay, growth at all costs. We need to make sure that we scale our e-commerce brand, then, our brand with the help of Facebook ads and paid new customer acquisition. And then, we'll think about everything afterwards. And now coming into more of a time of customer retention, right? This will be probably a mindset shift that will happen to a certain degree somewhat naturally, but generally also you need to understand the laws that apply to CAC. CAC by default, right, is the lowest. Like you will have the lowest, meaning the best CAC, your lowest customer cost to acquire a customer, and the beginning of your business journey. Right? Like this is because, usually, and we're talking about macro kind of at the macro kind of things. Obviously, then, there are micro kind of, times where you will have found a new winning ad creative and you are able to decrease your CAC temporarily. But, if you're generally, if you take a look at a business that has existed for 10 years at a decent scale and has been growing year over year, you will see their CAC generally increasing and naturally increasing year over year, because they are branching out to new customers that are less likely or less qualified to buy with them right at the gate, right? Because you get from this, early adopters or people that are really in need of your product to people that are maybe a little bit outside of that, and actually people that have, that need to be educated more on your product, or actually need to see the value of the product that your product is providing. That is on the one hand why your CAC will naturally always increase. However, on the other hand, all of the ad platforms, essentially how they're built, it doesn't matter from Google ads to Facebook ads to TikTok ads, right? They're essentially built on an auction platform that will, lead to, when more advertisers are joining the game, the cost to advertise on that platform will increase, right? And therefore your CAC, it doesn't matter your performance. If your performance stays stagnant over the next 10 years, your CAC will still increase, because the CPM, the cost to advertise on each platform will most likely increase significantly. And therefore, if you obsess continuously over year, I'm not talking about micro, we need to have this campaign running at that CAC, but on a macro basis, right? If you obsess over CAC, your brand is most likely going to fail. Instead, you want to focus on LTV, because your LTV is literally, sky's the limit, right? You can, always take an actionable insight, and you are, 100% responsible, and you can always make sure that you launch something in order to increase that LTV. On the other hand, CAC is outside of your control. Even if you do everything right, your CAC is most likely going to increase from now to 5 years from now, right? Your LTV, can stay stagnant if you don't do anything about it. So therefore, great brands, really focus on LTV, and this also comes really in hand with that whole kind of mindset of like 2023 is not the year of cost of all growth at all costs anymore, but customer retention. So with that being said, those were the 5 truths for, in 2023, which is first, attribution is a myth. Creative matters more than any type of other growth hack out there. Get over yourself and sell on Amazon. Fourth, testing random ideas leads nowhere. You need a framework in place. And last but not least, everyone obsesses over CAC while you should be focusing on LTV. So I hope this video was helpful. If you want to know more about how to grow your e-commerce brand profitably in those uncertain times, then make sure to check out my channel right below this video. Every Thursday there comes a new video on how to implement growth tactics, DTC, e-commerce growth, yada, yada, yada. And if you think that this was helpful, what I was just talking about, then also I would appreciate you hitting that like button and motivating me to produce and put out more of those valuable and helpful videos. So either way, thanks for watching. I really, really appreciate your time. I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you in the next one.